So, I'd like to understand from you that why do you think we celebrate Black History Month and why are we celebrating it in 2020?
Yeah, Black History Month is important. It's instrumental because um, there was a time, and it's still happening right now, that Black Americans didn't have the opportunity to do a lot of things. We were not able to be educated. Even building a family, there were times where, you would build a family and then your husband would get sold or your children would get sold. And so it's very hard for us to be able to live a normal life, to be able to have families and do things and to progress. And so it's really important that we don't forget about our history, because it informs what goes on today. It informs, the opportunities that we have today. It informs the way that we see ourselves. And so Black History Month is super important, especially for youth and young adults, because they are our media and police officers and just people, the United States. We show our youth every day through our actions and through what they see in the media that as Black Americans, that they're not valued. And so Black History Month really gives us the opportunity collectively as Black Americans, as people in the world, to collectively come together and show the value of Black Americans in the United States. And so for me, Black History Month is a super important month. And although Black history is American history and it should be taught and talked about all year long, it's really important that we have the opportunity and the space to shed a light on what has happened with Black people in America and, be able to uplift our youth and young adults.
Absolutely. And on that note, before we talk about your nonprofit and the amazing work your nonprofit does, I'd like to understand what was your motivation to work for this cause? Was it because of some personal experience, or was it something that you always wanted to do?
I tell people all the time, I feel like I manifested my opportunity to be a part of the leadership at Cities Now, because when I was a teenager, I had my own experiences with the juvenile justice system. And so it was always something that I wanted to do. I wanted to give back, and I wanted to be a part of helping other youth and young adults navigate that and figure out how they wanted to come out of that, like what they wanted to see for their future. And so I started off really thinking that I wanted to get into law and to be a juvenile lawyer. But I realized that I really wanted to be able to support youth and young adults before they got into, this system and before they had these experiences. And so that's what really drew me to the world of nonprofit. And then really being able to have flexibility in the work that I do and the way that I support young people really drew me to this opportunity. And so I love City Youth Now. I love our mission, and I love being a part of seeing change in our community.
Awesome. So now I'd love to know about your nonprofit and the larger mission that you serve, which is promoting stability, personal growth, and long-term success for youth in San Francisco. So where did the idea come from?
Yeah. City Youth Now is a very mature nonprofit. So we have been around this year for 72 years. It started in 1950, and there were some amazing women that got together, and they were wives of, judges and probation officers and sheriffs, and they realized that the youth that were being served really needed additional support. And so that's how City Youth Now came about. And so over the past 72 years, the way that we've worked in the community and supported the community has changed. But one thing that has stayed the same is that, our services and our support is very individualized. We recognize that youth and young adults, stability, personal growth, and long-term success looks different for each youth and young adult. And so it's very important that our services are individualized and that we're not providing this blanket approach to how we support youth and young adults. And so what's great about City Youth Now is that we really have the flexibility, and we give youth and young adults the opportunities to partner with us. So our services are more like partnerships, and they kind of get to figure out and design and guide and lead us to help support them. And so the mission at City Youth Now is to provide programs and services that promote stability, personal growth, and long-term success. And I think that is a wonderful mission because it really gives space and opportunity for us to support in ways that are not so rigid.
Awesome. And I'm so sorry for that noise. I'm so sorry. I'll just quickly ask a question so that it doesn't disrupt. So, so just want to understand that what are the different programs that the nonprofit runs, and you could walk us through that.
Yeah. So at City Youth Now, we have three major programs. We have one program that is specifically to support youth that are housed at the San Francisco Juvenile Hall. So through that program, we really support with additional educational support, buying textbooks for students back there that are taking college courses, enrichment activities. We typically do a Black History Month program. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, we would have different museums and the Zoomobile go into San Francisco Juvenile Hall just to provide additional enrichment activities for youth that are housed there. Our other two programs are really specific for youth that are in the community. And so our first program is a personal empowerment program, which is one of my favorite programs. That program provides small grants, so support in addressing barriers and bridging gaps for youth who want to pursue additional enrichment activities. So if a youth is interested in playing football or playing basketball and the family does not have the resources at the time to support that, they can get a small grant from us so that they are able to access that activity. The Personal Empowerment Program also has a COVID-19 fund, so that fund has really been supporting families that have been affected by COVID-19 and ensuring that they have things that they need, critical need items, cleaning supplies, even sometimes supporting, with rental support and things that are needed to ensure that families are stable during this time. And the Personal Empowerment Program often holds different programs for youth and young adults. So cooking classes, we've partnered with another local nonprofit, City Surf Project, to take our kids out to the beach to go surfing. So that program is really, really about personal growth and long-term success. And then our last program is our Youth Partnering for Education and Employment program. And that program is specific to education and supporting employment and education for youth and young adults. And so that program holds a paid internship program for youth who want to work, but maybe they're not ready to step out into the workforce. So that is an opportunity to slowly get them into the workforce, get them some experience while we are training them and providing workforce development. And that program also provides scholarships for higher education or any other type of educational support that youth need. So some youth are not interested or not ready at the time to pursue a college education, but maybe looking to get some type of certificate or some type of additional training. And so through that program, we support that type of workforce development as well.
All right, awesome. And I love how passionately you speak about what you're working for. It just resonates through the screen. So congratulations for that. And now I'd like to understand some other aspects of it. So as you mentioned that you have two daughters, and a lot of times when I speak to non-profit leaders, they're very passionate about what they're working for, right? So how do you have sort of typical conversations with them? Because as young as they are, they don't know what the world has for them because of the biases and stereotypes that have already been developed since hundreds of years. So what are those conversations like? And I'm sorry if that question is coming out wrong, but I'm really curious. Especially because I live in India and I want to understand what that is like in US.
Yes. So I actually have a son and a daughter. So my son is 10 and my daughter just turned 8. And so critically, from the time that they were able to understand, I had to have, conversations with them on their level, because as Black children, it is important for them to know and understand and recognize the type of world that they live in. Not only because we need to know our history and it needs to be a part of who we are, but also for safety reasons. You know, there are things that as Black children that they cannot do, that they cannot say, and there is a way that they have to present themselves in certain situations in order to come out of that situation alive. And that is something that we have to talk about, especially for my Black son. You know, my daughter as well, but it is very important for my Black son because it is still happening today. So when we look at situations like the Ahmaud Arbery case, and we see you know, how that was handled, and we see the media and the way that media outlets reported that situation to us. It is very important that young people have the ability and the understanding and the experience with understanding what media does and what is really happening in the world. And that goes back to Black History Month, you know, having them to know and understand the history of Black Americans in the United States and how we got to where we are today. And it can be very stressful, and it can be, you know, very sad to talk about, but it is something that we need to share. And it is important that young Black kids have pride in who they are. And it is hard for them to have that pride if they don't understand where we started from. And they will also internalize a lot of things if they don't understand that some of them are systemic and some of them stem from, you know, the experiences that we have had as Black people and Black Americans in the United States. So having that conversation with my own kids is often, it's hard, but it's something that I know that I have to do, and I do not shy away from sharing with them, you know, things that happen and my perspective, and then also giving them the opportunity to create their own perspectives and to, you know, also speak to other people and see how they perceive things, because, you know, we perceive them different ways just depending on our own experiences. So I think one thing that's super important is to get different points of views and to teach our kids that it's okay for other people to experience life differently than us, and that we should lean into that sometimes to better understand people's thought processes and you know, how they experience things differently than we do.
Thank you, Ronesha. I mean it, and I mean it when I say that I wish I could be half as graceful and sophisticated as you are when you talk about such an amazing cause. And I really wish that Goodera can help with volunteers and donations, because I see how passionate about you are, and I really wish you all the very best.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
And in that same spirit, I'd like to know, what are the ways that people who will watch this video, how can they help you?
Yeah, so there are so many ways that you can support City Youth Now. Of course, making donations, we always need resources, whether that be monetary or donations to our free store. So just recently, last October, we started a youth-led project, which is a free store where youth and young adults and their families can come and shop for free of things that they need. So critical need items, clothing, cold weather accessories, coats, cleaning supplies. And so we have a Amazon wish list, which is linked in our Instagram bio, where people can buy things from our Amazon wish list and send it to our free store to help us keep that stocked and available to people who really need it. But also volunteerism. We have had some great volunteers come to us through Goodera, and so I think that's a great place to start, especially for organizations and corporations that want to give back. We are also always looking for business owners or people who have, and everyone has, a skill that they can share to do virtual workshops for us. And so typically we get together an intimate group of youth and young adults, and we bring them together to learn from different professionals and different business owners, and to really develop and learn new skills and broaden their abilities and broaden their view of what's available to them. I know so many of us think about jobs that we want to do when we get older, and we think, oh, I want to be a doctor or a nurse or a teacher, but there are so many careers that we just don't know exist. And so it has been our mission to bring some new and interesting careers to the youth that we serve, so that they can open up and broaden their viewpoints about what's available to them and different things that they can do. So we're always looking for volunteers who are willing to come and host a 45-minute to 1 hour workshop and talk about what they do and how youth can get involved if they're interested in that type of work.
All right, awesome. And thank you for those tangible ways, because you really broke it down in really various ways that different stakeholders can help. So thank you for that. And before you go, the last question, I want to know one quote that you stand by, or that you have lived through.
One goal?
One quote.
Okay.
Quotation
so,
by someone else. Yeah.
For a personal one or for work?
Any, both actually. You can tell us both.
Okay. Let me think. Let me think. You said a code, right? Or not a goal, a code. Oh, a one quote that I have lived by. Oh my goodness, there's so many. One quote that I have lived by. You know, this is a quote that I learned when I was like 7, and it actually is not a quote from a famous person. She's famous to me, but it's a quote from my aunt. Her name is Ronesha Jackson, and she ended up being the first Black woman mayor of my hometown, which is Cambridge, Maryland. But when I was smaller, she also was my Sunday school teacher, so I grew up in church. And one day she told me, she said, I don't know, I guess I was talking to her about, you know, some people thought something about me or something maybe happened at school, and she said, you shouldn't care about what people think about you. You should only care about the people that care about you, what they think about you. And that stayed with me because, you know, if someone doesn't care about me or someone doesn't value me, why should I care about their opinion of me? And so even today, as I go about my work at City Youth Now and I go about raising my kids, that is something that has stuck with me because it's true. You know, the media, you know, police officers, school teachers, you know, hiring managers will all have opinions of you and things that they think about you. And sometimes we will take those things and we will internalize them. But if someone doesn't care about you, if they don't value you, if they are not trusted, you shouldn't really care about what they think about you. You should really care about the people that love you and care about you, what they think about you. And so that quote has stayed with me, and she probably doesn't know this, but it has stayed with me throughout my life and throughout my career and throughout raising my kids because it's true. It's really important. And we should really care most about how we think about ourselves. And this is something that I talk to the youth that I partner with about all the time, is that your self-worth and how you view yourself and how you think about yourself really shapes the decisions that you make and the type of things that you do. And I think that if we put more effort in helping youth and young adults feel worthy and understand that they are worthy of good things and success, that we will get better outcomes. And so that has been one thing that I try to really do, is to help them see how worthy they are and how important they are. And Black History Month plays a huge part in that because, you know, it just shows that as a collectively we are overcomers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, I totally like that was a very nice quote, and I see why you remember it now.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Ronesha. And on that note, we do come to the end of this interview. And thank you so much for giving us your time. But before you, we have a very little ritual at Goodera. So we kind of do a gesture, a sign or a symbol which resonates with the leader, the non-profit leader, or the non-profit itself. So, is there anything that you do often in your personal life or with your non-profit? So we'd love to do that here, and we would do it. Like anything, like it can be a heart or this, or something you do in a non-profit.
Let me see. Is there anything that we do? I mean, pre-pandemic, we hug. We're huggers. So that was our thing. So maybe we could just hug. We can give a virtual hug. Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time today and for staying up late to talk to me and giving me this platform and this opportunity to talk about Black History Month. It's amazing, and I really appreciate the opportunity.